Good morning and good evening, everybody. Welcome to Hard Boiled English. I'm teacher Paul Duke, your host, English instructor, coach, and investigator. We are streaming to you live from the Hard Boiled English studio right here in Vancouver, Canada, to Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, Africa TV, FC2, and Twitch. The format of this show is simple. You ask me questions and I do my best to answer them. Questions about English, mind you. That's my area of knowledge. I don't know about other things. So please focus your questions on English. For those of you who don't know me, please allow me to introduce myself. I'm the creator and host of the YouTube channel Hard Boiled English. And on that channel you can find my main series, which is called English Weirdness. English Weirdness is an in-depth exploration of some of the strange aspects of English grammar, the confusing things that learners like you may have trouble understanding, and, to be honest with you, a lot of native speakers have trouble understanding too. I also host every week a free conversation cafe. Now, this is a free event, but I need you to register in advance. This is a chance to get together on Zoom with new friends from around the world and practice your English. This is not a lesson, so I don't teach any English on this. I host it and moderate it with my co-host, Aya, and it's a conversation. So it's a great chance to practice your English and meet new friends and expand your network or promote some of the things if you want to share with your new friends, okay? Now, recently, I've also begun co-hosting and producing a podcast with fellow educators Anish Daya and John McGraw, who are fantastic educators in Toronto, Canada. So the theme of our podcast is related to English education in Japan, in Canada, but particularly for Japanese learners. And we address their unique challenges and their unique needs. And we have guests every week who are on the front lines of English education for Japanese learners. So check that out. It's available on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iTunes. You can get it anywhere you get podcasts. So check us out. We now have 3 episodes and we're recording more as we go along. So check that out, guys. All right. Well, that's me, and this is the show. So welcome. Oh yes, of course. If you want private, more intense, focused lessons, you can hire me, and I can do some coaching with you privately. So if you want to find out some of my services and costs, this is not free, go to my website, teacherpaul.ca, and you can learn all about what I offer there. And then, reach me on social media at Hardboiled English, and we'll make a plan for your learning, okay? So again, that's at Hardboiled English. So join me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, wherever. Let's connect, okay? At Hardboiled English. Now then, welcome to the show. Let's get on with it. Let's investigate some English mysteries. Now, I've had some really interesting guests on lately, but tonight's show is just for you, and we're going to investigate some of your English mysteries. So what I want you to do first, guys, is say hello in the comment box, the chat thread, whatever you call it. I don't know. Say hello and tell us what country you're watching from. So far, we've already got Chris Derboven from Belgium saying hello. We've got Wako coming in from Japan. We have Carmen saying hello from Lima, Peru. We have Ria Suzuki from Japan. Ria, what city are you in Japan? You mind sharing what city you're in? Anyways, welcome. Yeah, we've got people watching on YouTube and Facebook. And by the way, guys, unfortunately, if you watch the show from a Facebook group, there's a little problem. If you write comments, I can't see your name. So you can watch passively in a Facebook group, but if you want to participate, it's better to go over to my profile at Hardboiled English or Teacher Paul Duke or Paul Duke profile. Watch it from there. For some reason with the Restream app, when it sends the signal to a group, you can't interact as well. Oh, we've got Reza joining us from Indonesia. Welcome, Reza. Welcome. We have Adriana from Mexico. Welcome, Adriana. And we have my friend Wilson from Ecuador. I'm doing fine, Wilson. What I'd like to know is how you're doing. So you guys out there, tell me how you're doing in the chat box. We have another friend named Kabdiraxman. Hopefully I said that right. Kabdiraxman. What country are you watching from? So Rie is from Aichi Prefecture. Good, okay. I'm very familiar with Aichi. Are you from Nagoya in Aichi? Are you from somewhere else? I've spent a lot of time in Aichi. We have Facebook user. Okay, Facebook user from Vietnam. As I was just saying, if you're in a Facebook group, when you comment, I can't see your name. So it's better to jump over to my profile on Facebook. So when you offer comments, I can see your name. We've got Liping joining us from Mexico, and we've got Sakurako from Tokyo, who has recently been a guest on the podcast. So if you want to learn all about what she does in her corporate English training, check out our podcast number 3. Welcome to the show, and thanks for joining us. So Facebook user says, nice to see you here, but I don't know your name. So please tell me your name, Facebook user. Nice to see you here. And what country you're watching from. So Wilson says, so far so good for the time being. Thanks for asking, Teacher Paul. You're welcome, Wilson. How's everyone else doing? Please tell me in the comment thread how you're doing. And then we'll get to some breakdowns in a minute. Reza says, glad to join your class. No, I'm glad you're here. We've got Taran joining us. I think Taran is in Vietnam. Chris says, I'm doing fine and glad to see our friends here from the Conversation Cafe. Yes, there's a few friends here who have participated in the Conversation Cafe. Chris Derboven is a regular member. So if you want to learn what happens at the Conversation Cafe, you can consult her. I think she's been one of our members since the very first time we did it. How's everyone doing? If you're just joining the show, guys, please say hello in the comment thread. Tell us your name and tell us where you're watching from. I really get a thrill out of seeing all the different countries that show up here. It's fantastic. You know, guys, even if we have 5 people watching this show live, usually those 5 people are from different countries, right? We've already got Belgium, we've got Vietnam, we've got Japan, we've got Peru. It's fantastic. It's my favorite thing here. So great to connect with all of you all over the world. Adriana says, Reza from Indonesia, does that mean my last name is from there? Interesting question. Yeah. We're all connected, guys. We're all related. If you go far back enough, we're all one family that took a long walk around the world. One of my favorite subjects is anthropology, history, and archaeology. Well, that's 3, but those are my favorites, in addition to English. So I'm really fascinated with the human migration story. And when you really study that, you realize, no, we're all one family. We just got spread out over time, grew different hair colors, stuff like that. Well, some of us grew different hair colors. Okay, guys, let's get to our first segment. Now, every week to start the show, what I like to do is introduce a new piece of vocabulary. So this is a segment where I introduce an adjective, a positive adjective, that you guys can use instead of saying good, because good is a pretty boring adjective. It doesn't have a lot of meaning. It's subjective, which means you might think something's good, someone else might not think it's good. So it doesn't have any standardized meaning. So I like to introduce more specific adjectives in this segment, which I call words to use instead of good. So Tirath is joining us, and Tirath is in Nepal. So it gives you an idea of where in the world people are watching from. It's fantastic. Indonesia, Nepal, Ecuador, Lima, Peru. It's fantastic. Okay. Today's word is one of my favorites, but I want to give you a little warning. We've talked a lot about different adjectives to use instead of good. And some of them are really strong, some of them are gentle. Today's is very powerful. It's a way of describing something as extremely positive. Okay, today's word is sublime. Sublime. So this means of extremely high quality or great beauty. I would even go so far as to say tremendous beauty. So, what do you describe as sublime? Would you describe Justin Bieber music as sublime? No way. It's not sublime. It's not highly original. We've heard that kind of stuff before. It's not particularly innovative or unusual. It's not even particularly that high quality or complex musically. Wouldn't call Justin Bieber or any pop music really as sublime. However, if you're talking about something like the works of Mozart, Tchaikovsky, Bach, this music is so complex, of such extreme beauty, we might call that kind of music sublime. Or, I'm a jazz fan, so I think the work of a saxophonist like John Coltrane is sublime. Incredibly complex. No one has ever created music the way he created it. Or cinema. I'm a big fan of cinema. And there are certain works of film that are sublime. They're just so beautiful and poetic. They move us to our core, right? Marvel comic movies, not so much. So I'm going to say, where is my space here? Let's say the Bach concerto. I don't really know much about music, classical music, but this past summer I taught a group of students in the Juilliard Academy in China, and they know all about this stuff, so I learned a lot. The Bach concerto was sublime. Sublime means, extreme beauty and power. So when you experience something that just you'll never forget, or you see a piece of art or nature that's just so beautiful, you'll never forget it. It really moves you. That's sublime. Okay? Great word. But here's the thing about words, guys. If we use them freely too much or loosely and describe everything as sublime, it kind of loses its power, right? If you describe Bach concertos as sublime and some stupid music you heard on a TV commercial as sublime, you're telling me that they're equal. Or Justin Bieber is sublime. The Beatles are sublime. Elvis is sublime. AKB48 or BTS. They may be popular. You may even consider them good. But sublime is another level, right? Music from Bach has lasted for decades and will probably be appreciated in 100 years. Okay? So sublime is extreme beauty and power. That's my example. Or let's say it was a sublime film. I like to go to film festivals, international film festivals, and see movies made in different countries around the world. And I have seen sublime films from every country. Okay, now it's your turn. I'd like you guys to write a sentence in the comment box using this word. Where am I? Using the word sublime, okay? Let's see your examples. Well, Chris has one already. Chris, always the first out of the box, out of the gate. The lessons from Teacher Paul are sublime. Okay, perfect grammatical sentence, but we're talking about an English lesson, Chris, so it's a little bit overstated, right? Appreciate it if that's what you think, but sublime should be reserved for something of high quality and beauty. Okay? My lessons could be better. They may be good. I appreciate it if you think so, but I wouldn't call them sublime. But if you want to, that's fine. Adriana says, hugging Nick Carter was sublime to me. Okay, great. Ria says, Ella Fitzgerald's voice is sublime. Absolutely. Ella Fitzgerald has been made music for a long time, but we can still appreciate the beauty of her voice, right? Maybe in 20 years we'll forget about BTS. right? Trendy music is different. It's popular in a moment. It may or may not last. It may not possess that high quality and great beauty that lasts for decades. It might, but it might not. You know, classical music has lasted for sometimes centuries, hundreds of years, because it's so sublime and so powerful that any generation can appreciate it. Okay, what other examples can we show, guys? Let's see your examples. Give it a try. Don't be shy. Carmen says, Mozart's sublime piano concerts. Yeah, sublime piano concerts. Good. I like that phrase. Very nice. Anyone else have an example? Sublime piano concerts. Now, guys, remember, this can describe anything, any noun, as long as it possesses extremely high quality and beauty. So Chris is saying, sublime is not overstated when you see how I had to study English in Belgium. Okay, thank you, Chris. Lovely. Tira says, today's weather is sublime. I think I should go to Lumbini. Tirith, I need clarification. I need to know what Lumbini is. Is it another town or city? Or is it a store or restaurant? I don't know. So Adriana says, but we can use the word if it was sublime for us, isn't it? I mean, I don't like classical music. That's not sublime to me. I understand. But what I'm saying is, within your world, in your context, whatever you like or don't like, it's not just a word that you should throw around and describe everything. Like, I love pizza. Okay? But if I ate pizza, no matter how good it was, I probably wouldn't call it sublime. Because then, what the heck do I call, I don't know, some photograph from a satellite of the universe, right? Something so powerful and impressive and so beautiful that it blows my mind. I need to save the word for that meaning, you know? I can call good pizza something else. I can call it delicious, fantastic. So I'm saying it's fine if you want to call Nick Carter sublime, but that should be like the most beautiful, most high quality thing you have experienced. Save this word is what I'm saying, right? Save it. Otherwise, words kind of lose their power, you know? If you go around saying, oh, I love this pen, or I love my cell phone, well, then what word do you use to describe your family or your partner? If you use love, you're saying it has the same power as description of your phone or your pen. So, I like this pen. I can't say I love it, you know? Words have power. So they have a kind of rank. We should kind of think of them as use them in a kind of rank. Save the powerful ones like this for something really, really beautiful that you're describing. Okay, Tira says, beautiful place to visit. Birthplace of Lord Buddha. Good. Okay, Wilson has a good one. The rainbow looks sublime. Yeah, rainbows. Aspects of nature can be very sublime. They can be so beautiful that we just never forget them. Taran says, Niagara Falls are sublime falls I ever know. Good. I love Niagara Falls too. I actually grew up near there. So whenever I visit home, which is Toronto, I always go to Niagara Falls. It's one of my favorite places. Chris says, the books of Stephen Covey are sublime. I'm not familiar with Stephen Covey. Somebody says, according to my country, good morning, sir. Yes, I don't know your name because I can't read that text. Can you tell me your name and what country you're watching from? Reza says, Alan's performance was so sublime for me. Ria says, the earth is a sublime planet to us. Yeah, exactly. So whoever's asking me, how have you been? I've been good, thank you. But I can't tell what your name is because I can't read your writing. So can you tell me in English? What's your name and what country are you from? Is it to me or for me? Asks Adriana. You mean sublime, to me or for me? Yeah, both are possible. Both are possible. To me is what we use to say, to express the idea of in my opinion, right? For me has more of an implication of reason, right? So to me is better because you're expressing that to me, in my opinion, Nick Carter is sublime. Ah, okay, my name in English, Sir Piash. Okay, what country are you in? I think this is the first time you've seen our show, so welcome, welcome, if it is. If it's not, welcome back. Piash. Where are you? Where in the world are you? Guys, number one question I'd like to know from you first is, where in the world are you? I'd love to find out where everyone is. Okay, so we've seen some great examples of sublime. Great word. Ah, Bangladesh. Okay, great, great. Thank you for joining the show. Wonderful. So we've got so many countries with us tonight. Awesome. The taco in Mexico is sublime. Okay, Li Ping, good. I think tacos in Mexico are probably incredibly sublime. I mean, where else in the world can you find the best tacos, right? And by the way, guys, if any of you want to study or learn Chinese language, contact Li Ping Yan. She's a Chinese language coach living in Mexico. Okay, guys, thank you for this. Well, let's get rid of this word. It won't go away. There it is. Okay. Let me clear the board. Now, I've got one question outstanding that someone sent me already. So I'm going to address this question first. And then I'd like to hear from you what you'd like to talk about. What's your English mystery? So I was given a question, kind of a typical type of question where someone asks to compare two sentences. Because sometimes their teacher or their friends tell them this one's correct, this one's not correct. So a typical question is, what's the difference? This is that kind of question. What's the difference? So let's pop these up on screen. Two examples. It is time that we left for the station. Okay. I thought this was a very interesting question. It's time that we left for the station. The train station, I assume. Can everyone see that? Yeah. It is time that we leave for the station. These two sentences are almost identical. It's a little bit bright, so I'm going to lower the light here, guys. Just give it 1 second. Let's increase the contrast. Should be a little easier to see. So, to break down the grammar of a sentence structure, what I like to do, guys, is identify the parts of speech. Identify what's happening in the sentence first. You should always keep track of a couple of very important elements. Number one, the subject. Every sentence needs a subject. If it doesn't have a subject, not a sentence. So you should always know where the subject is. If you don't, you're probably confused about the meaning. So in this example, the subject is it. And this one, the same thing, it. The second most important element of a sentence is the predicate, or the verb. We say predicate because it's not always one verb. Sometimes it's two verbs, like I was standing there. Was standing. That verb is two parts, made of two verbs. So we call that the predicate because it includes two-part or three-part verb forms. What's the verb here? Is. And some sentences, not all, it depends on the verb, depends on the structure. Some sentences have an object. This one happens to have an object. Okay? And the object is a noun. So far the sentences are identical. Then we have a relative pronoun, which connects an adjective clause or a relative clause. And we have the same thing here. We have that, and then we have a clause, which means it has a subject and a predicate. We have we have leave, we have we, and we have left. And then we have a prepositional phrase that tells us the reason or the destination, the station. So these sentences are almost identical except for one word, the verb of the adjective clause, okay? By the way, an adjective clause is a clause that modifies a noun, right? A clause that acts like an adjective. The entire clause tells us about the time. Because without it, if I just said, it is time, you're going to say, it is what time? Time for what, right? So we need a clause to tell us what kind of time. That's an adjective clause or relative clause. These sentences and these adjective clauses are almost identical except for one verb. One's in past tense, one's in simple present. So the person who gave me this question said, which one's correct? Well, here's the good news. They're both correct. Sorry, guys. They're both correct. Grammatically, they're both correct. But, as some of you know, I want you to think about language not just in terms of grammar, because what the hell is grammar for anyway? Language works in a triangle. We have grammar, yes, or form. We have use, how we use it, and we have an example coming up after this question. And most important, I think, we have meaning, because grammar facilitates meaning. We use grammar to structure a sentence so that we can communicate a meaning. Otherwise, what the hell's grammar for? Grammar is a structure through which we pour our meaning. That's why it is important, because one grammar structure can express a different meaning than another. And that's what we have here, guys. We have two sentences that are almost identical. Almost the same, except for one verb form, one tense. And that changes the meaning. Okay, what does the meaning? The first one says, it's time that we left for the station. You'll see that it's past tense. What does that mean? That means right now, you're with your friend, and you know you have to get to the station to catch your train. You look at your watch, and you say, it is time, right now, simple present form of be verb, it is time. What time? It is time that we left, which means left is the past tense. We should have left in the past, but we didn't. We're still here. So what does that mean? It means, uh-oh, we're late, right? So if you want to tell your friend to hurry up, that we're late already, it's time that we left for the station. We should have left. Right now is time. It's too late. We're almost too late for the station. So we have to go now, quickly. That's what that's communicating. Because the time now is the time we should have already left in the past. Okay? So this communicates the idea that we're late. Let's boogie. Let's hurry. This sentence is slightly different. It's time that we leave for the station. So you have simple present, simple present. So right now is the time. So we should leave now. Not we should have left in the past. We should leave now. We don't have to hurry, but if we leave now, we have lots of time to get to the station and we'll get our train. This one is kind of an emergency. Okay? So you can see from these two examples, guys, which both work, grammatically they're fine. Both are good grammar structures. So the grammar is fine in both cases, right? Check, check. But the meaning is different. We have an A meaning and a B meaning. That's the beauty of a language. That's the beauty of learning how to use the grammar in slightly different ways, okay? Any questions about this before I move on? No? Takes a second for the questions to come, so I'll wait a moment. I'll just stand here and sway. Actually, I'll talk to my friend. Mr. Potato Head, to be or not to be? That is the question. How's that? Is that good acting? A little Shakespeare for you. A little Hamlet. Any questions about this, guys? If not, I'm going to erase it with my magic potion. Teachers out there, if you want to buy this, you can see the links down below in the description box and get your own. I highly recommend Expo Whiteboard Care because, watch this, I can spray my board and almost immediately I can write on it. It dries almost instantly. Now, as I said that, if I showed you, it'd probably be wet. So I got to make sure to wipe it clean. But it's a great product. Okay. So Wilson says, yeah, Wilson, you've got it. They're both talking about the time now, what time it is now. Like it's, 8:30. But what does that time mean to us in different situations? Well, if you are late, that time is a late, right? It's time we should have left already. So it is time that we left means we should have left. We're late. The second one suggests we have time, but we need to go now. We should leave. Okay? Yeah, both are describing the time it is right now. Oh my God. It's time that we left, right? I see a question here from Li Ping. Can we pop up her question about I'm down with it? So these are two slang expressions. Okay. Now, the first one I can explain. I'm up for it, of the same meaning. The meanings are kind of the similar meaning. Nothing's ever the same. I'll never tell you that, we have two expressions or two words and they have the same meanings. I don't believe that. I believe if we have two words and they survived hundreds of years of evolution from early English and we still need two words, they're expressing different meanings. I believe that very, very strongly. The idea that synonyms are two different words but the same meaning, it's kind of a lie, to be honest with you. If two words still exist, they're expressing slightly different things. And the same with phrases or expressions. I'm up for it. Okay, so let's look at the parts, right? We have a be verb. Okay. Now, up is really a preposition, but here we're using it as an adjective. So with a be verb in the middle, this becomes a complement, which means it's describing the subject. So it's describing me. I'm up. What does it mean if you're up? Well, it's describing your emotions or your energy or your spirit. It means you're excited. Okay? I'm up for it. So it is something like, let's say, your suggestion. If someone says, are you ready for class? Yeah, I'm up for it. It's Hard-Boiled English Live. I'm up for it. I'm excited. Excited and ready. Okay? Not just ready. Like if we have a quiz tomorrow, and I say, are you up for it? I expect you're ready for the quiz, but I want to know if you're excited about it. Hopefully you're excited about quizzes. You should. Quizzes are a chance for you to show your stuff, show what you know. The second one's a little different. The second one emerges from African American culture in the United States. Okay? Through history, African Americans in the US were a subculture. Their music, their fashion, and their expressions and language were a subculture because they were an oppressed people by the mainstream society. So they developed their own jargon, their own language, their own music. And some of those expressions over time came up to the mainstream, the popular aspect of society. For example, rap music. When I was a teenager, rap music was just starting to come out of New York City. A fantastic, brand new style of music. Never existed before. And it developed its own culture. At the time, though, it was a subculture. Parents didn't like it. You never heard rap music or hip-hop in a TV commercial. You never heard it on TV or the news, right? It was still underground, subculture. This expression comes from that idea of subculture. And it means, so obviously up means up, so we think of excited. Down means cool. Are you cool with it? Does it okay with you? Now, what is it is going to be a little different. As rap music became more and more popular around the world and accepted in mainstream, I mean, now on TV, every TV commercial has a hip-hop soundtrack, right? It became mainstream. And so did these expressions. They're originally from a subculture of the United States, the African American culture, but now everyone says it. The problem is, now that everyone says it, no one knows what it means. Down with it. Down in the subculture. Right? So 20 years ago, if someone said, hey, are you down? That means, or meant, are you cool? Are you accepting of the African American subculture? I'll give you an example. When I was young, in my teens, growing up in Toronto, Canada, I mean, I'm a white Canadian, but I had friends from the African American and the Jamaican Canadian parts of society in Canada who were into hip-hop, and I loved the music. So they would ask me, are you down? Meaning, are you down in this subculture with us? Do you like hip-hop? Right? Because you have to come down to like it, because it's down here in the underground, in the subculture of society. That's why it meant down. Not good or bad, just are you with us down here in the basement of culture, right? Are you down? Well, yeah, I'm down. I like hip-hop. Okay, cool. Everyone accepts you, right? So now it's different. Now African American culture, African American music, it's in the mainstream. It's the world's dominant music. So it doesn't really mean this anymore. It just now means cool. Or let's say cool, accepting, a little bit meaning of ready, right? So maybe ready for something a little bit subculture, right? A little bit not what your parents like, right? A little bit in the subculture. That's when you would say, are you down for it? Are you down with it? Are you down here with us in the subculture, right? Are you up for it? Describes your energy level and your excitement. Down means, are you cool or not? Are you with us in this subculture? Okay? I want to say hello to my friend Karen, who recently moved from the United States to Korea. And she's saying hello from Busan, Korea. Karen, I hope your move went well. I hope you're enjoying your new position there. I'd love to catch up with you soon and hear all about it. Thanks for joining us. Okay. Yeah, Karen's saying slang, you down, are you down, right? So as I'm explaining, down in the subculture, right? So it's a little bit different than saying, are you up for it? Because up for it means your energy level. Down means, are you part of this group? Do you accept? Are you with an aspect of subculture? Okay, I'm going to erase this because I see a lot of questions popping up. I see one about sports. That one we can address pretty quickly. Let's pop that one up. I think it's from Carmen. Something about which is your favorite sport? Let's pop that one up. As always, guys, I apologize if I move through these questions quickly, but I want to try and get everyone's question answered in our 1 hour time slot. Otherwise, I have to pay my engineer overtime to help me. And this is a low budget show. Oh yes, Sakurako, History of I'm Down. That's, yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed that. You know, I'm fascinated by the culture aspect of words, where they come from. And meanings get lost or change over time. So that's an example. Now everybody and their grandmother says, "Are you down?" But 30 years ago, only a small group of people used that expression. It emerged into the mainstream through the African American culture. Okay, here's a question from Carmen. I'm very confused when to use what and when to use which. Okay, what is your favorite sport? Okay, what is great question, Carmen. I'm confident we can reach an answer pretty quickly. Okay, when we ask what, we are looking for an object. Okay, we're looking for an object. So, if this is a question, what kind of answer do you expect? Well, you expect an answer like this. What is your favorite sport? My favorite sport, or it is football. I'm a fan of American style football. Not soccer. I don't like soccer. I don't know much about it, so for me it's a little bit boring. But as a young person I played football, so I can identify with it. And by the way, yes, I know they throw the ball a lot, but they didn't used to when the sport began. When it began, nobody threw. All they did was run with it and kick it. Then they called it football. Now it's changed. So they throw it a lot, but they still call it the same name. Things change over time. We have to keep this in mind, including language. And in fact, guys, sometimes cultures and societies change faster than the language does. And we have to be conscious about the changes we make to the language. Okay, what is your favorite sport? I have no idea. It could be any sport. I want to know what it is because I have no idea. When I say what, I'm looking for the object, right? We have sport, verb, subject, verb, object. I'm looking for the object. What is your favorite sport? I don't know. My favorite sport is what? So you're looking for that, okay? If you say which, you already have some idea of the possibilities. So, if in the conversation you either shared a context where several sports were appeared in somehow, some way, and where you and the listener or you and your interlocutor are aware of the choices. When you have choices, that's when you use which, okay? I have a red pen and I have a blue pen. Which is your favorite? These are the options. Well, could be more than two. I have a green pen. Which is your favorite color? You know the three choices. If I don't give you choices, I might say, what is your favorite color? Okay? So, which is your favorite sport? Which of which group? Which of what group? So maybe a question like this isn't really complete. Maybe you have to say, which is your favorite sport? Football? Basketball? Soccer? Or Hi Alai? I don't know how to spell it. Hi Alai? They play that in Miami. Okay, that's the question. And here are the choices. Which of these is your favorite? Or you could put that at the front of the sentence. Football, basketball, soccer, or Hi Alai. which is your favorite sport? And then the answer is football is my favorite, right? And football is the subject. Okay? That's the difference. We use which to distinguish choices, but you have to know the choices first. What means you have no idea of the possibilities. You can imagine, but you have no information to narrow it down. What is your favorite sport is something you might ask someone when you get to know them at first, right? And it could be any sport: football, basketball, baseball, soccer, swimming, archery, kendo. It could be anything from 100 sports, which you already know some kind of range, okay? So Wilson says you would use what when you ask for a general answer? Yeah, Wilson, when you have no idea what the object is. What are we going to talk about today? I have no idea. But if I said, okay guys, today we can talk about grammar, we can talk about pronunciation. Which would you prefer? Because I gave you two options. Adriana says bamboo canoeing. I practice bamboo canoeing. Let's do yeah, that seems right. I've never heard of bamboo canoeing. I'm not sure. It makes sense though. Some countries have bamboo as their most, what's the word? Most prevalent wood. And then they would make canoes out of it quite naturally. Okay. Can we review some of the questions I missed? Might have missed something. What do we have? Up for it, down with it. Recommend some books. Let's pop that up. Sir, could you please recommend some books which are helpful to our complete grab in English? Well, there are a lot of books out there, guys. One of our viewers, Sakurako, she writes books for Japanese learners, which you can find out about watching the podcast in which she's interviewed. But in terms of English books, a couple of my favorites are here. Where are we? What do we have? They're all kind of hidden away. Yeah, here's a great one. If you're a beginner or an intermediate level student, I recommend How English Works by Michael Swan. It's a great book because it's got photographs, it's got graphics, explanations. I believe when you buy it, you get a CD or a DVD and you can hear things. But it's excellent. It's well laid out, it's clear, it's simple, lots of examples. So that's How English Works. That's good for beginners or intermediates. If you're an advanced student or a teacher and you're interested in really understanding grammar, I recommend this one. And by the way, you can buy these on my website, teacherpaul.ca. I have links to the Amazon links, and if you buy it there, I make $1 or $2. This is my favorite grammar book, mostly because it's comprehensive and it really goes into the different nuances. My friend and colleague Karen is offering one here. Learn to Speak English Like a Native. That's an excellent book. I'm familiar with it, although I don't have a copy here. And then maybe Karen can add in on this because Karen's an expert with IELTS, but when I work with IELTS students, this is the one I use to teach IELTS with. So I always recommend my IELTS students get a copy of this. That's the IELTS program from Barron's, and they have a whole series of things. Adriana asks, nature or the nature? That's an easy question to answer. Nature. Nature is uncountable. If you're talking about the natural world, right? Trees, plants, animals, the sun, the universe, that's nature. There's only one. So it's uncountable. And if it's uncountable, we can't use an article like the. However, there's another kind of nature. if you have a specific topic like teaching, it has a specific nature that's different than, let's say, the nature of police work. Okay? Police work is very different than teaching English. So each one has its own nature, its own character, and that makes it specific. But that's not the nature we're talking about when we talk about plants and trees and the climate. There's only one of those, so that's nature. Uncountable, no article. Tron says, Mr. Paul is like an actor. Well, you know, being a teacher, you're kind of like an actor sometimes. Especially if we're on camera like this, because we're not interacting so much. So I kind of have to perform for you. Okay, now Pyash asks a question here. What's the basic difference between present perfect and present perfect progressive? Now, great question. Present perfect and present perfect progressive are fairly involved and complex grammars, so I don't have time to give you a full explanation here. However, as it happens, I have a great video in my series English Weirdness. Okay, it's a Halloween scary episode. I can't put the link in here, but go to my YouTube channel, Hard Boiled English. Look for English Weirdness. Actually, we can put a link, can't we? I think we can, yeah. Find the Halloween episode. Yeah. We'll get that link into the comment thread. This episode explains present perfect and present perfect progressive. Okay, but I can give you a really short summary of the difference. Progressive, some textbooks call it continuous, same thing. Okay, you may know already that if we have a timeline, and this is the present, this is the future, this is the past. In grammar, perfect doesn't mean awesome or beautiful, it means past, right? It means something that's complete. And if something's complete, it got completed in the past. So this word you should understand as indicating the past. So what is this grammar's name? Present past. This grammar connects the past with the present. Why do we need that? Well, simple. Because in reality, in life, past actions affect our present, right? For example, when I was a teenager playing sports, I hurt my legs. I had some injuries. Well, gosh, that's 30 years ago plus. However, now I have some difficulty walking. I have some arthritis. So those past injuries affect me today. That's life, right? The fact that I studied English means that I can teach it today. Studied in the past, teach it today. The past affects the present. So we need a grammar to communicate that. And present perfect is the one that does that. It means a past action is somehow related to the present. That's present perfect. Doesn't tell us anything about the future. Very important to understand. Okay? Very important. The present and the past connected. Right? So I have taught English, have taught for 10 years. Okay? What about this? Well, this originates from present continuous. Right? Present continuous or present progressive means something is happening right now. I am standing right now, but it's temporary. That's the key. It's happening right now, but it's temporary. It started a little bit in the past. I am standing here. I started at 7 p.m. when the show started. That's in the past. And I'm standing here right now in the present. What about the future? Well, yes, I will continue or progress standing here a little bit into the future, at least until the end of the show. During the show, I'm not going to sit down. So it's happening right now, but it's temporary. Started in the past, near past, and it will continue into the future, right? And then it'll end at 8 p.m. my time. Happening now and temporary. That's present progressive. So when we mix that with present perfect, what does it mean? It means something that started in the past, an action that started in the past and is true in the present and will probably continue or progress into the future. Probably. You have some reason to believe that. For example, now I can say, I have been standing for almost an hour and I'm not done. How do you know I'm not done? Because I'm not moving. And you know the show ends in 3 minutes. So you know that my standing will continue into the future. So the big difference is this piece right here. You are adding present continuous or present progressive onto the past and onto the present. That's the difference. I can also say things like, I have been living in Vancouver for 30 years and I'm not done. Tomorrow I'll still live here, right? Tomorrow, Vancouver will still be my home. It might not be. I could move. Of course, that's possible. But I'm standing here in my studio, not packing boxes. So you have evidence that I will still be in Vancouver tomorrow. Because Paul doesn't look like he's moving. He's not packing boxes or bags, right? He's on a live stream. So I'm not going anywhere. Okay. Sakurako has a question. This will have to be our last one though, guys, because we're almost out of time. Sakurako says, would you say, how do you think? Yeah, good. How do you think, or what do you think? Now, first of all, again, both are grammatically fine sentences. Both. Perfect. Okay? But they're asking different questions. Again, what? When I say, what do you think? I'm looking for a thought. I'm looking for a noun. I'm looking for a thing. Maybe an opinion. An idea. Right? I'm looking for a what? Look at this one. How? If I ask how do you learn English? Well, by studying. That's a process. That's a method. How do you fix a car? Well, first you take it to the mechanic, then the mechanic works on it, and then charges you a bunch of money. That's a process. Okay? Process. How do you make a cake? Well, you need flour and eggs and an oven and a recipe, hopefully. So you need a method. That's what you're asking when you ask how. Hey, you're in Canada. Great. How did you get here? Oh, well, I took a train to the airport in Tokyo, then I flew. Right? That's a process. How did you get here? Okay? How is looking for processes or methods or techniques. Oops. What is looking for nouns? It's looking for opinions, ideas, right? I love Arteza pens. What do you think? Well, Paul, they're pretty good. That's my opinion. That's what I think. If you ask someone this, how do you think? Well, Teacher Paul, how do you think? Well, I don't know about you, but I use my brain. That's my method. I think with my brain. That's my method. Or, how do you teach English? Well, I stand in front of a camera and I answer your questions. That's my process. That's my method. That's my technique. So how is asking a very different question than what, right? So if they want to know an opinion about something, like, I don't know, I have this great Russian doll. It was given to me by a Russian student who appreciated her time with me. Beautiful gift. What do you think? What do you think? I'm looking for your opinion. Oh, teacher, it's beautiful. It's gorgeous red. It opens up and there's more dolls inside. It just goes on forever. Very cool. That's what I think. If I said, how do you think? I'm expecting an answer like, oh, teacher, I use my brain to think. How do you think? Right? That's the answer. So, Sakurako, I don't think your student should be asking this. I think what they mean is this. What do you think? Right? Maybe if you ask a question like, what do you think, guys? You're asking for an opinion. Right? How do you feel? That's a little different. Right? How do you feel? What, not really what method, but what process is happening with your emotions? How do you feel? Right? You could say, what do you feel too? I feel anger. I feel sadness. But how do you feel asks for a process. Well, I'm feeling a little strange, but I'm getting better, like that. Okay, so just to summarize, guys, Karen says Barron's has an excellent series of test guides. Yeah, they have a whole series of products for IELTS. They have practice tests, DVDs, all kinds of stuff. Guys, it's time to go. So I'm going to say goodnight. If I didn't get to your question, I will record it and address it next week, I promise, okay? So I apologize if we ran out of time, but if I go too far over, the camera runs the risk of melting. I've got a couple things to say, though. One of which is, on December 17th, so I think it's next show, I'm going to have our 2-hour special Christmas show. We did this last year and had a lot of fun. We also had a 2-hour New Year's Eve show. On December 17th, I'm going to have a 2-hour special Christmas show on which we'll do some breakdowns, we'll answer some questions, and I'm also going to have several special guests. One is an educator, one's a fabulous musician. It's going to come and sing some Christmas songs live. It's going to be a great show, so please mark that on your calendar. I know it's late at night for some of you, and I know it's early morning for some of you, but please try and show up for that. It's going to be a fun show. Next week, business as usual. More questions. If I didn't get to your questions tonight, I will talk about them next week, okay? In the meantime, I want to thank everyone for joining me on the show tonight. I want to thank Chris from Belgium, Wako from Japan. I want to thank Carmen from Peru, Rie from Aichi, Japan, Reza from Indonesia, Adriana from Mexico, Wilson from Ecuador, Kabdiraxman, and I don't know what country you were from, Tran from Vietnam, Liping from Mexico, Sakurako from Tokyo, Japan, Tirath, my friend from Nepal. Catherine was with us, but I don't know where you're from, Catherine. Sorry. Pyash from Bangladesh, Karen from the US, now in South Korea, Waiha from Korea. We have Franco the tutor just joining us, Franco Costas. Thank you, Franco. If I missed you, I'm sorry. Thank you all for joining me. Don't forget to visit my YouTube channel, Hard Boiled English. Check out English Weirdness, especially the episode we put in the link that explains present perfect. I hope you all stay safe and healthy over these coming months, because in some countries it'll get colder. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Wilson, for your compliments. You're very kind. Thank you, Karen, for the claps. Thank you, everyone, for joining the show. I'll see you next week, Friday night, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's Vancouver time. Until then, please stay safe, stay healthy. And until we meet again, guys, stay cool.